Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, May 27th, 2024, and you are in the Java Cafe. It is Memorial Day. I do understand that, and we definitely want to acknowledge, first of all, our veterans and everyone that has given their life for this country. We want to also consider the fact that a lot of people memorialize a lot of their family members today, no matter their cause of death. So we want to name that. Listen, we're not going to be here that long today. Once our guest comes on, we'll spend about a half an hour with her. Shout out to all the UCBers, everyone listening over on Instagram and also Twitter as well. Listen, some of you might be a little stressed out because you made some wonderful plans for Memorial Day. You know, it's the official start of the summer. And the weather is very interesting. And so you just might be a little stressed, nothing major. But for folks that deal with things like anxiety and depression, something like that can be very serious. And so we're going to have a very casual but serious conversation with a guest today. She's a mental health provider. And I was just talking with her in the beginning. You all know me and pronunciation and getting names right. I'm not that good at it. And so I'm going to try to do well. I have my good glasses on. I'm actually going to open the picture here and make sure I get it right. But listen, we're talking about stress this morning. And so before I bring my guest in, do me a favor, as we used to do a lot in 2020, 21, 22, and not as much lately, but for Mental Health Monday, do me a favor on this Memorial Day. Let me know how you're feeling. How are you? And to let us know, just take and put one word in the comments to express how you're feeling this morning. And we're getting ready to bring our guest in this morning. But put one word in the comments and let us know how you're feeling. Shout out to Visual Souls Photography, to Rob over on Instagram, and Duffy, Cinco 1042. I can't tell all the names by the screen names over there, but put one word in the comments for us. And we are getting ready to bring in Nielle Nazo. Nielle Nazo. She's in the back nodding, so I think I got it right. I didn't.
Very close. Very close.
All right.
Hey, y'all. Good morning.
Then you say it. You hear the dissent in her voice. Good morning. Good morning to you. Now, you please say it for me, and I will get it absolutely right from that point forward.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nielle, like your knee, the letter L.
Okay.
Nielle Nazo. You got the last one right.
Okay.
I'm very happy, very excited, very nervous. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Wait. So it's interesting because of all of my, I think maybe a couple like in the pre-conversation, they've said, you know, they're a little nervous and we'll talk or whatever and they'll be fine. I don't know if anyone has ever said that they've been nervous as a mental health provider on the show. So now I feel like I got to hold space and make sure that you're good. Anyway, but I'm sure you are. Just, you know, as I said in the intro, we're going to have a very casual but serious conversation about stress. And so before we get into that, please tell us your journey as a Black woman, as a queen. You are in a space that helps us around a lot of what we deal with. And I'm going to try to remember how in 2020, when we started this segment of Mental Health Mondays, one of my providers said it's good to have a mental health provider because they are trained to help you go through the process of it was something around not feeling okay. It was okay not to be okay. But if you get to a point to where you're quote unquote wallowing there or in the sunken place from a little Get Out movie, then you need to talk to someone that is trained to help you through that process. And so I want to know how you got on that journey to help us.
Yeah, very much. So yes, I do identify as a Black woman. I'm non-religious. I'm bisexual, femme woman, and I've seen therapists. I've gotten behavioral health for most of my life, and I've been harmed by many therapists because they were unable to really support me, given my position, given my identities, due to just lack of knowledge, lack of experience, lack of compassion and humility, some other things that I think are really important to be a therapist. And so my art actually really was the big um, therapeutic piece that really helped me throughout my life. And so when I got to college, I actually found out, like probably my junior year, I found out art therapy was a thing. And I was like, okay, I'm sold. I've been doing this literally for myself my entire life. I didn't even know. So I was really, really excited. And, the further I got into college, the more I understood psychology, sociology, just why people do the things that they do. I realized that the problem was not the individual. It's no individual. It's not, me. It's not the people who harmed me, but it's more systemic. It's more structural.
Absolutely.
So that is really what prompted me into going into behavioral health. I have and still do want to make a lot of changes in the field within the
Mm,
policy specifically. So,
mm.
I'm doing things to try to become board certified. I'm doing things to continue my education and just network and just make more spaces that are safe for people of color and specifically people within the Black and African American diaspora.
Speaking, of networking and people of color, we have to shout out our sister Naisha Deed, who is
Yes.
curator, CEO, and founder of Pure Spark. Through her, for the past few Mondays, this is our last session. You get to close us out today, and so this is our last session for this Mental Health Awareness Month. And so that networking and partnership and being a part of that network is how we got you here today. And so we want to thank Naisha for that. And so, let's go right in. I'm going to ask folks to do me a favor. And if you were to, along with putting your comment about how you're feeling today, we believe in participatory therapy, group, online, digitized therapy. Now, disclaimer, because you're going for your board certification, we just want to say publicly, this young lady has not examined anyone, and these are general. Shout out to Dr. Lucy Loomis, who is on. She is not diagnosing everyone. So just me saying that, I just want to cover you and make sure,
Thank you.
because in a virtual world, you don't want anyway. So what is your stress level? Along with putting your comments about how you're feeling today, what is your stress level on a scale of 1 to 10? Let us know, one being that you're pretty good, everything is cool. You got up this morning, you did your meditation and did what you were supposed to do, and you're good to go. You don't care about the interesting weather, and you had your hamburgers and chicken wings and everything ready. However, on the other side, if it's a 10, that means that you're kind of stressed out. And I don't know why I just thought of Faith Evans' old song, I really know how it feels to be stressed out. So put that in the comments for us as well. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling this morning? And so Nielle, how would you describe stress in a very layman life experience? And I'll ask you generally, I almost ask you to filter that through being a bi woman, but with that's a Java after dark. But generally, like, how would you, from a layman's term, describe stress?
Okay, so stress, I would say, is anything that we experience that maybe is unexpected, or maybe it is expected, but we feel it is outside of our values or conflicting with our values. Things that are really important to us in life, let's say. Um, and also, stress can also be moments where our nervous system feels unsafe. Our nervous system feels um, maybe attacked in some way or injustice in some way. But yeah, I would say in layman's terms, that is stress. And but also it's important when we say the word stress, there are external stressors that thus cause internal psychological chemical stress in the body. I think in the Black community, we always hear all the time how Black people are, high rate for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, all these really chronic health conditions. And a huge part, a huge contribution to that is the daily, pervasive, also historical and generational stress that we hold in our bodies. And in my practice, especially as an art therapist, especially as someone who brings in a lot of somatic based practices, a lot of like mind body work, I think it is really important to understand that the body, does not speak in word. We can talk our way out of things. We can talk our way out of trying not to be stressed or, oh, it's just me. I just got to change up how I'm thinking or, let go of these thoughts. But we tend to move towards, for lack of better words, skills that are more cognitive, that are more in the brain. But stress lives in the body. Stress activates and moves in the body and is held in the body. So, a lot of my work, I educate my clients, my students, folks that I supervise, that in order to communicate back to the body, to regulate the body, to um, heal, whatever you want to say, to move with the body, we have to be able to rest, play, move, and dream. And these are all actions. These are all movements, behaviors, different ways that we navigate and move forward so that we can actually release some of that stress from our bodies. So it's not ultimately harming our physical, these vessels, these beautiful vessels that we occupy.
Um, so I often let my guests know, and I gave you fair warning in the pre-conversation that this is an organic space, and I'm often told that I can ask a question that's like, and Dr. Loomis is on. I got her real good. I can ask like a 10-tiered layer question within like a 20-second period. That what you just described, the context is a lot to unpack. And so it's Monday, folks are home. Let's have the convo. So, what I hear two different levels of the influence of stress. You name the external, and I'm hearing from you a lot of macro in the external. And what I mean by that is you talk from a social justice systemic lens around key stressors in our environment. And again, let's just name, you're talking general. We haven't went into your demographic specifically yet. Don't know if time is going to allow us to do that full justice. There may need to be a part two of this. The other piece I hear from you is you ended sort of in the piece of the internal, that there are the everyday sort of stressors. There may be tears. There may be, you went to press the Keurig thing, you walked away and realized that the blue light came on and there was no water in there. Now, for some people, it's for somebody like me that does that at 8:57 and I need to go live at 9, oh my. You know what I'm saying? And so there's the daily things. Where do we not prioritize? How do, and we can get into the conversation now about maybe some ways to deal with stress. We defined it as, you talked about external factors. You talked about systemic things. You also talked about the daily things that I just said. Are there tiers to stress? And then how would you suggest and again, you name some individuality. Everybody's an individual. Each patient is a patient, whatever, not whatever, but you know what I mean. Um, how do we begin to put those in, I guess it would be compartmentalize the
Mhm.
little ones, the big ones, and maybe let's get into the conversation about some tools. You referred to being an art therapist. I'm trying to keep my brain in check because it's went everywhere based on your last response. So usually I try to keep like a pen and a piece of paper near me. I don't have one today. So I might have to open up the little notes on the computer and let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, when we're talking about stress, when we're talking about trauma, they are like huge pools. There's so much that goes into it, especially for anyone that's in, you know, that's marginalized in any way. So in terms of tools, I well, one, I think that in terms of creating some form of hierarchy of what to prioritize, whether it be the
You see how
daily,
conditioned we are? When you use the
yeah,
word hierarchy, I said, oops. I immediately said, okay. But that goes to systemic conditioning. Let's just name it.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I think a huge. I'm going to shout out Dr. Jennifer Mullen because she is an author of a wonderful book that just came out, Decolonizing Therapy, and it is a game changer. But in that book, she really talks about how colonization really pushes us into binary thinking, right? I can either be healed or I'm not
Not
healed. I'm
healed.
like healthy or unhealthy, safe or dangerous, good, bad, right, wrong. I can do or I can't. And then when we add trauma to that and stress, that only exacerbates that thinking. And so, one of a huge thing that I think is talk therapy. Your traditional talk therapy, you and your therapist are going back and forth, can be very limiting because a lot of what we experience at those daily, everyday, small stressors can so be linked to the generational stuff, the historical stuff, all of it in one instance. So to separate them and to prioritize them would be almost working against the grain, working harder rather than smarter.
Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper there because you
Okay.
talked about man, I'm stuttering, so that means you got me real good. Um, you spoke to a certain limitation of sort of the one-on-one therapy. I really thought you were getting ready to go to talk about the benefit, blah 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 blah. Speak a little bit. You know what? We need to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about your philosophy toward um, the limitation as you see it when it comes to the one-on-one sort of talk therapy. We know that you delve in arts, and so I'm curious to hear after this break here your thoughts around that. Folks, we'll be right back with you in 2 seconds. There we go. So, folks, we are back with Nielle. And right before the break there, she mentioned something that really caught me by surprise. And we're going to ask her to give clarity to when you said there are some limitations in talk therapy when you take in the generational. We've often talked on this platform about the research and science behind the fact that for some Black folks within our DNA, there is trauma and always want to end on an asset basis. So we're going to talk about the good end and tools and what is good in the hood as well. And so tell us what are the limitations that you refer to when you said that about talk therapy? I'm so curious to hear.
Yeah, definitely. So, first and foremost, the medical field, especially the behavioral health field, the mental health field, a long history of violence, exploitation, um, pathologizing, especially to the Black community. And
Pathologizing.
yeah, yeah. So, um, I think that in, even if we just talk about just normal conversing and the language that we speak, the words that we use, it really is extremely important and puts a lot of responsibility on the therapist to be able to approach a client with a certain level of compassion, cultural humility, and responsibility. Okay. I
Mhm,
always say there's a ton of
mhm,
therapists out there. There's a lot of
mhm,
therapists out there. There are
mhm.
only a handful of them that really have it, that really understand. And so when I say those 3 points, I'm saying them as the point that if the therapist doesn't have these 3 things, the therapy can be extremely harmful and extremely limiting. So first and foremost, compassion. Compassion, I just mean understanding that there is a soul and a human and a body that's in front of us. No matter the race, no matter the ability, the language, the place of origin, like none of that is the issue. What the actual issues are implicit bias, like racism, you know, um, ableism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia. Like, if the therapists themselves are
Mm,
not aware and able to challenge their own prejudices so that they don't ultimately act in discrimination, it is that's really important to have. And so, earlier on, I said I've been harmed by so many therapists that just didn't get it or didn't understand or acted based off of fear because I had mentioned something. I really think the stigma that the Black community holds against mental health is valid. Like, I
can and you might find this interesting, and I don't mean this in any pushback at all, but I had a guest on and I forgot who it was, and we talked about medical mistrust. And what they said was we need to reframe it because it puts the responsibility on us. And it isn't on us when we come that word mistrust. And it's some may say, okay, Jimmy, you're being deep on semantics and whatnot, but words matter. You know what I mean? And so just when I heard that, that reminded me of that point, and I forgot the term that we sort of settled with, but it simply not trusting, the medical community. And that even in I wish I have to go back and figure out what episode that was, but I just wanted to name that and as you said, valid, that there is a the system has not dealt with us well. I'll just leave it I'll frame it like that simply for now to not just get in a rabbit hole. But I just thought about that when you mentioned that, because continuing with what you're saying, from medical, we understand that behavioral health is health, mental wellness and
Mhm.
addressing mental illness is health. We here we go again.
Yeah, yeah, and
Oh,
I
let me
also
ask you. Let, let me ask you one more question. Again, you're not a medical physician per se.
no,
But
not.
what I thought of when you said around the systems and things like that. So what I got excited and clapped about was the fact that early on, Nielle said that we're so conditioned, and I asked her about the hierarchy of stress and systems. And she talked about a lot of the stress that impacts us from the external is due to systems and structures. And so we're talking about the impact of stress on us and whatnot. Maybe a way out there question, but I used to work in medicine, so this thing of the neurological system, the digestive system, the respiratory system, and whatnot,
Mhm.
are those valid? Okay,
Absolutely.
well, okay. We can
Yeah.
move on because of the space you're in. You get why I asked that. I just wanted
Yes.
that could have been a little bit out there. But again, if I have the thought, I'm going to ask it. Okay, so let's get back to you named that you've been harmed. A lot of us have been harmed. A lot of us are still being harmed by the fact of what the system has done to a lot of us. And it has not come full circle as much as, in 2020, post George Floyd and everything that's went on. And even in this time for women and those that are able to have children, um,
Yeah.
that wasn't a yank on, at least within the women that are, and
Mhm.
those that identify as women, and now I'm talking about white ally, public health. I'm going to say
Mhm.
something, and you let
Well,
me know.
can I jump in too real
Jump
quick?
in, please, because you got me out.
Because we're talking about, yes, how we as the client or the patient or the person seeking the support is being harmed, right? And not supported. I do also want to acknowledge that it's a trickle down effect. The therapists themselves, the helpers themselves are also not being supported. The mental health field is not free nor safe from capitalism. Like it's still that has a huge impact on the healthcare, the providers. I've worked in acute settings. Even as a Black therapist, I know I've harmed clients in the past because I was not set up for success. I trusted supervisors, white supervisors of color, even, and told them,
DSM-4, what they describe.
yes,
Mhm.
it told them something that a client told me, and I'm like, this is a little concerning, and they're like, "Up, call DCF," and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, that escalated way quick. What?" And now I don't have an,
Section
and
12.
now exactly, or send them inpatient. Whoa, 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 that went real quick, and now it's out of my hands because now I'm being told that I have to do this. So
And
I
under
think
that clinical supervision, you have to.
exactly. So that's another huge reason where I really recommend therapy. If you're looking for therapy, to really look for people who have their own private practice, or look for people who you know are within a group practice that really aligns with what you're looking for. Because a lot of the even community mental health, even sometimes like the nonprofits, the for profits, especially these really, corporate hospitals, they have quotas to meet. they have, they are that they look for turnover. How quickly can we get someone to feel
Mhm.
safe enough to return to their community? You
But
know,
still
um,
come back. And,
exactly.
and and I mean, let's say it's valid that there does need to be follow up or whatnot. And again, another thought. I used to do auths
Mm,
for behavioral health, MBHP, and all these other ones, and private insurance. And on one hand, the capitalism, but then on the other hand, if someone gets to a point that they want to go to therapy, some of the hoops
yeah.
which a lot of patients have to go through is very interesting. And so, on those 2 points, the one you made earlier about ensuring that you have access to therapists that may share your life experience, may share, some of your regional, geographical upgrowing and traditions and different things like that, your social economic experience. Pure Spark is one of those places that curates and vets there are different sort of therapists, and there are different ways that you can get therapy, art therapy, and whatnot. And so let's jump into that. I was just going to say that on the menu on Pure Spark, you can look up sort of different ways to deal with therapy. So let's go into that as because it's 9:32 and you got me out there a little bit. So your specialty, if you will, is in the space of addressing stress through forms of the art with intentionality around using art. And is it CBT, like is it the cognitive? Okay, you said no. All right, so let when you think you work for, and you may know these names, Ted Stern, Greg
Okay.
Ficione. I used to work for both of them.
Okay.
And so when you've been in that space, you think you know a little something or whatever. And so
Hmm.
so CBT is not applicable, but see, there it go. There's that conditioning.
Yes. So there are hundreds, probably thousands of therapeutic approaches, different frameworks, etc. And I truly believe not one thing is going to help everyone.
Mhm.
And also, like, another limitation to talk therapy is my job is not to colonize people. My job is not to bring you closer to the proximity of white body supremacy. It's not what I'm trying to do
Wait,
here.
wait, 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 wait. I agree. I what you call it. Bible says, in all thy getting, get an understanding. back that up just a teeny bit and first of all, say it again. It don't have to be verbatim. Say it again. And then I need you to do a whole exegesis on that part right there.
Yes. So I often say the DSM-5
Oh,
is,
they are at 5 now. Lord, when 6
yes,
comes
they're on
out,
5.
are they working on 6? And has COVID been considered in the construction of
It
6?
has. It's in 5. It's in
It's in
5.
5. So
It's,
they
yeah,
have they already have the post-COVID or COVID induced.
yes, yes,
I
they do.
Yo, a couple of years ago, sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
told people that was gonna go ahead.
yep, yep. So the DSM-5 is a huge book of what I like to say normal human behaviors due to
Wait.
we're animals. Like we move forward based off of lived experiences,
No, but
right?
you gotta give me a second and just let the people know why I laughed, because weight of the DSM and how it's used to diagnose people, where it sometimes the life impacting effect of
Mhm.
misdiagnosis is so interesting. And so if there are therapists on, you all understand why I laughed when Nielle said normal human behavior. Because if you leave it up to DSM and how it's used often,
Exactly. Remember that piece I said earlier with responsibility?
um,
But the therapist needs to be responsible. Just because a client hits every single point doesn't mean it's actually appropriate nor ethical to give them that diagnosis if we actually look at the larger context of that person in their
and
life. For
can we
example,
also name that it shouldn't really be done? If I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of these diagnoses are happening at 15, 16, 17. Wasn't there at
yeah,
some point that it was not really supposed to be assigned until 18? If I'm wrong, correct me, or am I way off there?
I don't know.
Okay.
From what I know is that a child as young as 5, even like 4 can,
Pediatric, da 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 da.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So you
Maybe
know,
there's some diagnosis, maybe that
yes, for sure.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay.
There are some diagnoses that especially like a lot of personality disorders or like uh mood disorder, stuff like that, can really, you have to be a certain age. And then some diagnoses have different criteria based on age. Like PTSD looks different in children versus adults. The criteria is different.
I'm only there like that with asking that clarity, because those two categories to which you just described, I can presume
Yeah.
that a lot of us are
Mhm.
diagnosed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
I,
Nielle,
I
this is good
oftentimes
to
use
me.
the I oftentimes use the example of marijuana and cannabis use. We know it is used widely across the country, regardless of race or ethnicity. However, the Black community is often given this diagnosis, and that is so harmful because with any substance use disorder, it doesn't ever go away. You go into remission. Let's say if one day are like, all right, I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't want to, you still are diagnosed with cannabis use disorder. It's just now in remission.
And it's in your medical record for all. This is why.
Exactly. And now it's impacting your access to treatment, your access to certain medicines or prescriptions that you might need for like life-saving medical conditions. It can even impact sometimes job or employment,
Yep.
so responsibility. We have to be responsible with the power that we have as therapists.
Okay. Now that's a tool that we need to take in the system. And one of the things I'm hearing from you is there's a health equity compact. There's a lot of movement around policy that needs to be an intentional one with all this liberation, what the feds are now getting ready to do with looking at the opportunity to do research. How do you correlate that there's a lot of justice equity
Mhm.
work around that, but there needs to be that same type of energy in the mental health space,
Yes.
because listen, we still haven't seen the impact of COVID. And for a lot of folks, roll up, spark up is what got
Yeah.
them through it, and is what it
Yeah.
so We're way out there at 9:38, and I want to give the people an opportunity to hear some, actionable items, some things that you suggest. We know about journaling.
Mhm.
We know about, as far out as the conditioning, systemic CBT and stuff like that. What are some things that we can walk away with today that can help us from that art space around addressing stress and just when I said to somebody before, life be lifing.
Yes. I say that all the time. Yeah. So, okay, I'll make this simple. Art therapy, I take it to the most basic, like the most basic definition of what art is, because we got to decolonize that conception. When I say art therapy, I mean creation. I mean creating from. And for art therapy, I always tell my clients you need something to create with, meaning materials, any materials. And it doesn't have to be your traditional art materials. I've had clients paint with ashes from their ashtray, makeup. I've had them use food coloring, tin foil if they don't have clay, like really expand your idea of what art can be. So something to create with materials, and then also something to create from. And we always have something to create from: an emotion, a thought, an activation, a feeling, a um, a point of um, relaxation or lack of activation, like something to create from, and that comes from within. Okay.
Yep.
And so, with that in mind, I'm going to come back to the 4 points of rest, move, play, and dream. Each of those four categories you can implement some art therapy into. Now, there's a difference between art as therapeutic and art as therapy.
Okay.
Art as therapeutic, we're talking the adult coloring books. We're talking paint by numbers. We're talking, connect the dots. Like there is a essentially a problem we are trying to fix, or something that we're trying to solve, something we're trying to get to completion. And that final image is the most important. The final result is the most important. With art as therapy, the process is the most important. The engagement, how we are experimenting, testing, learning, making mistakes, keep going, working more in the abstract, working more in the visceral movement. That is art as therapy.
So can I ask,
Mhm.
Legos for a
Yeah,
52-year-old man?
yeah. My partner
Uh,
loves Legos. We have Legos all over.
so I'll be very honest with you. I woke up in the middle of the night and not supposed to do this, but my iPad was in the bed, pen was there, and for a quick second, I had the inkling to just pull up the blank in Notability and just start coloring. And I was like, and so who knows out of that, because I remember I used to work for the department that funds Head Start.
Mm.
And from them learning from their grantees, they started bringing Legos, pipe cleaner, different color post-it paper, crayons to federal policy meetings
I love that.
because the research was showing in the kids that when there's creativity that happens, and so it's applicable to problem solving, life
Mhm.
when life be lifing, and it's also applicable to like strategy and whatnot. And so that I'm bringing that to the point
Mhm.
of those sometimes deficit problem induced. If you pull it back to just a creative space, let's consider a lot of the stuff that I've learned this month, and you tell me if I'm off. Pull it back to a creative space to within the moment, we create out of what we're feeling in the present and not focusing based on what you just said on the final product, but what is the process that we're feeling? What is it that when we're in the art therapy, if we're messing with foil, what are we feeling? If we're drawing, how does the
Yeah.
you're the therapist. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one, where is the emotion, the feeling, the activation, where is it being stored or held in the body? And how can we move that out?
So there's
Almost,
intention.
yeah. Yes. How can we almost omit that energy onto something else? And art therapy gives makes the art almost a container, almost a vehicle to hold the heaviness, to hold the processing. Um, you know, Oftentimes when we have a problem, or again we experience stress, we're so focused on the problem. We're so focused on the
Oh,
thing that is
excuse me, excuse
causing
me,
us
excuse me,
stress.
excuse me, excuse me. I don't know if you know of this name. Have you ever heard of the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute? It
No.
is the entity that here in Boston, unfortunately, shout out to Exit Fame on all the folks in the room this morning. Clementina Sherry is someone who lost her, someone whose son transitioned out of this realm due to unfortunate violence. And so she's dedicated her life to helping people. And she believes and practices this therapy. There's this whole, if you haven't, write it down because I know you probably got a little pen and stuff there too. The
Mhm.
Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, they have this thing called Peace Play. And somewhere between you and your clients and whatnot, I would love, like, if you two, oh, shoot, hold on.
Talk about
Alexa,
networking. I got it.
yeah, we got it. Let's keep talking through it because Alexa, we went a little past time, and Alexa is doing her thing in the background. But I'm just honored to have her in the room around this subject. And so, what she's have you ever heard of the Mother's Day Walk for Peace?
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
This is her. Well,
Oh, awesome. Awesome. I
not
love
this
that.
is her. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
is the founder and creator of the entity that, and she gives homage to all her staff and everything like that. I'm just
Oh,
excited.
that's
What
awesome.
she says, my point is healing is central. Thank you for focusing on the assets in the community. Great conversation. And so I'm sorry. When I saw her in the room, I just, I was just honored to have her in here. And so you said it's a container that often, if we don't get it out, it's going to be contained either in the neck, in your high sugar level, in the inflammation.
Exactly. In your gut,
Oh,
in a knot in your throat, in the pit in your
I got a
chest.
whole lot of stress going on these past 6 to and in fact that I'm going to say 6 to 9 months because a brother do, could pass and look like he's about to,
Oh,
expecting. So it's you say, let me back up a little bit. What I'm learning here is, to me, I thought there's an automatic release from the creativity, period. Just from creating.
mhm.
What you're saying is either keep in mind in the forefront the intentionality that as I'm creating, I'm offloading outside of me, getting it out my mind, at best getting it out my body, because if I hold it here, it's going to come up.
Exactly. Don't hold nothing that's not yours to hold, you know?
Yeah, but you, woo, yo, I'm about to end this, and you can stay on camera because Jesus God today, it people and Reverend Clementine has gotten a lot better at it. Just I her disposition now from 10 years ago was very, very different. And it's not that there's no compassion. It's not that there's no the same level of love, but it goes to the adage, you ain't good to nobody else.
Right.
And so, but that piece of what struck with me is I come from a serving environment, public service, grew up in church, was assistant to the
Mhm.
bishop. And because there was some ways this man who I honor and respect had intentionality about, oh, you want to preach? Oh, you're going to clean the toilet. You're going to do that, And
Yeah.
so that servitude there often, and let's just name the other pieces, I haven't fully figured out why, but a friend of mine, Thaddeus Miles, said some years ago, "You're always so busy for a reason. You don't ever take down and just be with yourself and thoughts and whatnot because there's something that you just don't want to deal with." And I always imitate their voice like that. I'm gonna try to say it regularly. There's always something you don't want to deal with. And so that intentionality of not holding on to what's yours in the serving space, sometimes that I'm just going to be 100. It's hard because then when you don't allow as much access, when you're not as available, when you're not as meek and lowly and just take it and absorb it, then you're changing. This is good for me, Jesus.
I bring in the importance of community a lot in my work as well. I'm a Boston Black.
You're a Boston Black member?
Yes.
Shout out to the membership.
And I've, when we move differently, we need to prune our communities. And I say that to say, if we do a little renovating, okay,
Hi, Kareen. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You just, yeah.
Malachi and Kareen's over on Instagram, and Lupus in Color, who's coming on later this week, is on as well. Listen, speaking of that, shameless plug, we're going to take a quick break again before we get ready to wrap up with Nielle. This thing, it's been good to me today. I hope listen, while we get ready to go to the break, if you're in the comments, if you're on Twitter, shout out to the almost 50 folks over on Twitter that's listening. If there's something that you're walking away with today while we're taking a break, put it in the comments, retweet this with your comments real quick, and we're just going to let you know who else is coming into the Java Cafe for the rest of this week. We'll be right back with you.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
Listen, that is that last commercial there. If you're an entrepreneur, and we know that your demographic is the greatest number of entrepreneurs right now, Black women, you need health insurance to some extent to well, not the way the system. She said, you gave me very auntie right there. The way the system is set up, it is easier for you to not have more stress financially, to have health insurance, and get your authorizations if you would like to go into therapy. However, today we're talking about an alternative. Now, let's also say that Nielle is not disparaging just talk therapy. For some that works, but there are different modalities, and one of them we're talking about as we get ready to wrap up is art. And so I want to definitely allow you the opportunity to, one, I want to recap just from the last segment toward the end there, that the art approach is, again, going through the process. What are you feeling in the moment? The intentionality of, in that creation, offloading what it is that may stress you. Can I also ask, can this use, I know you're going to say yes, but this can be a proactive sort of perseverance. Like if I know that June is the busiest month of my life. It's now just past 2 years it is. And so, that's Saturday. So for the rest, and I've been, thank you, Jesus. Last couple of weeks, I've been chilling. Do not disturb, no meetings. And so you can now you're telling me I need to go get some foil out the kitchen and create, journal, pull out the pen and color. And so we talked about that creativity and that offloading. But one of the things that you talked about in the beginning, and I want to allow you the opportunity to go into this thing that you talked about that is important to look at. And this is part of not the art approach, but just tools that we can walk away with today as we're talking about stress and different ways to deal with it. Is one, rest, 2, move, 3, play, 4, dream. I'm glad we're going to end with that one, because that can be loaded. That not that, because you got me excited, so I'm going back to my good vernacular. All right, let's talk about rest.
Yeah. So rest, obviously, yes, sleep. Okay. Do your best to get, your rest throughout the night, throughout the, naps. If anybody who can nap and you benefit from it, go off, do it. And I'm also talking about active rest. And when I say active rest, I'm saying, how can we also just learn how to be and not do? One book I read by it's Racial and Ethnic Stress and Trauma in the Body. And she talked about how we are called human beings, not human doings. So how can we learn to just be in our bodies? And again, art therapy is a great way to do this. We're in our bodies, we're moving with our bodies. And I would also, I also urge my clients to talk to our lineage, go do some research on our ancestral practices. Like, none of this is new here. Okay. We've been doing these things. So, for some people that's cooking, a, traditional meal that they love. And it's just like nostalgic for them, and that is a form of active rest. They're just, they got the music playing, dancing and cooking, and that is a form of rest. Right.
Yep.
So yes, active rest. We're not, again, problem solving. We're not trying to fix something. We are just being a human in our bodies. A lot of people like to take walks, right? And no headphones, just look around. So
Whoa, hold on. So Andre 3000's latest album, that takes me to a place. And so, and I know you agree with do what works for you. But then the other thing is, it is technology. And I'm going to do a confession. Let's keep it 100. If my phone is with me listening to Andre, and I'll be honest, 70% of the time, if I'm going for a walk and I have my headphones, the other thing is, let's keep it real, that not going with the headphones, you hear the birds, you hear the horns, you hear the wind. And so as we started in the first session with Jara, being present, and I asked, well, so give me, what are the benefits of sitting and being present and feeling the soft cotton and all that other stuff? Well, research shows that something happens in the brain when you it literally. All right, so we talked about rest. We talked about active rest. Do you agree that active rest also includes hopping on a plane, going to a beach, and eating your desired foods that I'm not saying unhealthy, but
yeah, absolutely. Again, it's just being in our bodies. And I hear this a lot. Oh, I have to sit with my body. No.
Hold on. Now, me going to Miami on the beach, I don't think that's going to have the impact of being with my body that you're talking about, because
well, exactly. And it could. So that's what I'm saying. It's different for everyone, right? Being on a plane for some folks is rest. For me, absolutely not. I got to take a Benadryl and knock out. Like,
I don't mean that. I'm talking about, you talking about being in your body. I'm talking about being on the beach. The body is a stressor. The stress is, look at that little cyclical thing going on. All right, let's get back to being serious. But active rest is a part of it as well. And so let's go. A good transition.
Exactly.
We want to
To
plane
move,
moving.
to
And so
moving.
let's talk. I talked about walking,
Yes,
maybe not with the headphones.
exactly. So movement, I always say we are one movement away from a better mood. Our emotions and our stress, again, the chemical, psychological stress in the body, can leave us feeling really stuck, stagnant, heavy, immobile. A lot
Mhm.
of times, a lot of folks find a very habitual like urge to cave in, kind of get into fetal position, um, protect the core.
We talked about this, the
We
shoulders
hold,
up.
yeah, the shoulders up, the tongue at the roof of the mouth all day, the brows slightly furrowed, the hands clenched, closed up. These are again the way our bodies hold and store this stress. And so movement allows for openness, spaciousness, almost creating a cavity where there is tension and activation and closure. And so with movement, I'm talking any type of movement. Listen, put some music on and dance. Right, even I've brought in like the form of singing, shouting. When I'm really feeling angry, I turn on Kendrick Lamar and I rap in the shower. Like I got the lyrics and everything, and I'm bada, bada,
Who
bada,
won? Who won? Who won? Who won?
Kendrick, I'm
Okay.
sorry,
All right,
always
let's
have
go.
one.
I was just curious. You can't bring that up without ask. I
No,
mean, without me asking.
it was giving culture vulture versus for the culture, and we know who's for the culture. So I'll just leave it that way. Anyways, I I really think that
Almost lost
movement
my mixer and my laptop right there. Sorry, go ahead.
movement allows for again that release of the adrenaline in the body, the cortisol, and it also helps the brain omit some of those healthy, happy, exactly, Kendrick, are those happy, healthy um, chemicals that are really helpful for problem solving, for moving in different ways, thinking outside the box, thinking more creatively. And so, we're talking dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, some of these really good health, like we're talking brain health here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So move, we have to move. Even if it's just with our hands, again, our therapy, always going to give a shout out. We can move just with our hands.
It's not as complicated. Wow. Okay. Shout out to Jay. Good to see them in the room. We talk about movement. Jay, we're part of the Boston Waterfront Coalition. And so we often talk about being on the waterfront,
Yes.
walking, the health benefits of that. So good to see them in the room as well. Good segue into play.
Yep. You see what I did there? Okay. So play. With play, we are really it's easier to play when we're kids, obviously. And then I think, as soon as, school, or not even before school, like as soon as possible, we are like hammered into not playing anymore.
Mhm.
The imagination's going too far, the experimentation is going too far. We start, oftentimes a child's first words is no, because that's all they're hearing.
Mhm.
And so with play, that really gets into the experimentation, the testing new things, the um, approaching things with openness, willingness, and not like this has to be the way that I want it, in the time frame that I want it, by the
Mhm.
person that I want it. Like it breaks the rigidity, I guess, and the almost limitations that we place on ourselves. It challenges things like perfectionism. It challenges things like unrealistic expectations of self. We meet ourselves where we're at when we play. Almost a level of compassion, self compassion.
All right, and it's so interesting because you're delving in spaces, and as we get ready to I can't even say it, transition to dream, because this one,
Exactly.
I, just in case, make sure I got a little tissue around you. It's dream, like that. So I wonder what the implications are of not actually dreaming. I probably do not. I can tell you recently, I can remember dreaming and having a dream vividly in the last maybe 2 weeks, and I wonder what sleep study and folks,
Mhm.
sleep hygiene and folks that look at that would wonder. But then there's the other aspect of dream. And so
Right.
let's go ahead and end out. And shout out to the UCB members. It's 10:03. Y'all go and get 90 minutes on a hol. Eric should give y'all double time. Somebody asked, so there's some folks that are part of this organization. They get points for community participation, going out in community,
Mm.
volunteering, voting, and they get points for watching Java with Jimmy. And so it is a holiday. So y'all should hit, well, maybe I'll send him a text and say they should get double points since it's a holiday. And they got 90 minutes today because it's 10:04. And once you cross over into 10:01, you get
Yeah.
90 minutes. So anyway, all right. Let's wrap this part up and let's talk about
Yes.
dream. Which one you want to talk about first? The physical or the what's the word? The not
Like daydreaming almost.
yeah, but what's the other word? Literal, physical dreaming, and the figurative
Oh,
dreaming.
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. Figurative
let's go there.
dreaming. So I mean, physical, there's so many studies and, long history of interpreting dreams and, how our dreams they tie in our subconscious,
Oh God.
the traumas and experiences they bring in, things of our current, stressors and active things that we're dealing with. Like it's, yes. And I always recommend it for people who do vividly dream or can remember their dreams. I always recommend having a dream journal, which is just having a notebook, by your bedside. Okay. And as soon as you wake up,
A
write as much.
notebook, not
Yes.
the iPad with the Apple Pen.
No. I'm like not the biggest technology person, but listen, if you wanted, I will say with the phone, if you don't want to like physically write an audio or voice note, just where you're talking to your phone and recording yourself, I
Mhm.
think that has absolute benefits as well. To
Well,
do that.
but before we go on, because you said technology, I meant to ask this before we went to dream. Talked
Mhm.
about play,
Mhm, mhm.
tech play.
I
I
think
like Pac-Man. I like old
okay.
school Pac-Man.
Okay.
That for me, but now there's a little there's a little bit of a stressor there. But it's a it that challenge of not getting out and the ghost not getting you. Do you know what Pac-Man is? Because I know
Yes,
we're
I know what
okay.
Pac-Man
I'm
is.
just saying.
Yes. I'm
I
not
say
that
that.
young, but I'll take it as a
I say,
compliment.
okay. I was going to say I say that respectfully, since there's some implications there in me asking that. All right,
Yeah.
so tech play. Let's go deep a little bit. Now,
Yeah.
when somebody people say play, we're not talking necessarily what's that thing? Um the with the guns and
Oh,
you know, that type
not
of them type of games.
yeah. Listen, games have their purpose. I do not believe it is as liberating as just
That's a good way to
freely
frame it. Okay.
freely playing. Okay.
Yep.
Think about it. People
It's given allowance for whatever works for folks.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Again, people who experience stress, people who experience trauma, which again, I really believe it's everybody, but to each his own. That's my bias. But I really think I find that trauma survivors value freedom, being in control, authenticity, um, you know, um, safety. These things happen in organic play.
Yep.
Not We can experience all of that when we organically play, not necessarily when we are playing a game that has rules, that has, lives, you get 3
I was
lives
getting
and
ready
then
to
it's
say because
over
I've
and
seen some people. There was a whole video that came out a couple of years ago. It was a couple. I think it was basketball. And do you remember? He got mad at him and erased his card or something, and he smashed the game and was like, "We're through." Do you remember? Did you see that
I
video?
did not see
Oh,
that, but
so but and so that's a different stressor when you talk about lives and so I had to ask, and again for each individual, For some, it's the Pac-Man and the little blue thing. The little blue man that runs, or the fox thingy that runs around. I don't know.
know
The
that
little,
one.
okay, yeah.
But yeah,
I'm saying it wrong.
I love my games too. I love Sudoku. My mom was really into it, and it passed down. I can play Sudoku for hours. Tetris is another one I love, but you know, they don't do
They're
the
not
same.
organic.
Exactly. There's still limitations that are out of my control. And as a trauma survivor, it would be really liberating to experience play without limitations.
Ooh, that again, that is okay. Did you see how maybe subconsciously I deterred away from Dream? All right, let's
Yeah.
go ahead and finish. Let's go ahead. I wish there's no way in the world I can take myself out the shot. Well, I can, but go ahead. Let's talk about Dream.
So dream, like you mentioned before, figurative dreaming, that naturally comes out of play. And when I say dream is, if there were easy answers to the things that we experience, to our stressors, to healing in general, to trauma, whatever it may be, to grief, whatever it may be, if there were really easy answers or right ways of moving forward, don't you think we'd all do it?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think we'd
I
all
do.
be like really,
Mhm.
great and wonderful and
Bottle it
like,
up and just freely give it. Yeah.
exactly. There is no right way. There is no one way. There is no, best way. It is so individualized. It is so personal. And we ourselves, how they often say, the answer is within you type of
Mhm,
thing.
mhm.
There is some validity in that. We have to be able to dream a little bit, right? Sometimes I ask the question of, if what transformation are you hoping for, given the stressor that you're experiencing, or what change are you hoping for? And so we get right to what is the actual need here,
Mhm.
all right? And let's dream a little bit. What are the multiple avenues that we can do to get to
Yeah.
that endpoint?
Mhm.
And you decide what is the most effective way, where you're not working super hard. We, especially in the Black community, work hard. You got to work 10 times harder than the people next to you. No, burnout. That's old school. I'm sorry. New school is work smarter. Don't
Not harder.
Not harder. Why would I work harder when nobody's going to give me a freaking cookie for it? Nobody's going to, my problem still may not be answered or solved in whatever way. So let's work smarter. Let's figure out what is the most effective, where, yeah, you're probably going to have to delegate, ask, and accept help. I know, very hard, but we can do it. I'm sure we all
You're
have
not coming for
done
me. Do y'all
harder
see her whole
things.
energy? She hand grabbed and
this is this is my orientation. Like, we have to work smarter. We have to learn how to trust again. Not only trust others, but trust ourselves.
All right. We're getting ready. Thank you all for tuning in today. It's go ahead. I'm sorry. Listen, because
This is dreaming. This is dreaming.
that's a dream.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm that trust. That's a dream. I'm just gonna keep it all the way. Lasagna, y'all not gonna come for me this morning. Yeah, and it's not that I don't, because I don't want folks in here who have reached out and it's not individual. It is, if I could just keep it 100 for about 15 seconds. That trust thing, and not just with accepting help and whatnot, just
In general.
and it's not often. Stuttering is tier 1. Not having anything to say, no. Interesting is tier 1. Stuttering is tier 2. We're in tier 3, and I don't know what to say. Oh, we done went somewhere. Now we're back down to tier 2. We don't went somewhere. So that delegate. What is it? What'd you say?
Delegate, meaning this is these are the things that I need help with. Okay. Let me separate the tasks and delegate. Who's at my conference table? Because I'm CEO. I'm HBIC. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
Who's sitting at my conference table? Who has the ability, right? I'm not going to ask someone who I know is not going to be able to do X thing. Like if I have a friend that maybe it has like a lot of social anxiety, I'm not going to ask her to like help me reach out to like make a quick phone call that I need to make, but I
You're
can't.
not the hostess at the event.
Exactly. So delegate. Then we ask, literally. We get comfortable with asking for help, and also we accept. We don't smack down someone's hand that, those people, oh, just call me and let me know if you need anything, or, condolences, let me know, how I can help. Okay. Actually, since you said that, list I got.
Now let's I have to reflect back, and you'll appreciate this. We did learn in one of the sessions is that we need to stop saying let me know how I can help and if there's anything I can do. What we do is my condolences, and you check over the next couple of weeks.
Right.
And here, listen, I want to let you know, I wish I could be more helpful, but right now, this is what I'm available to do. If you need a ride after 6 up until 9 o'clock during the week, let me know. You need me to pick up family coming into town, I'm there. I can't physically be there, but you need me to send some Popeyes, over. And so the balance of that part there, but yeah, that trust
Yeah.
and hope, that is a space where generally I'm getting better, but it
Mhm.
and a s-
It involves, what makes it so hard is that it involves a level of forgiveness and letting go of resentment. And when I say forgiveness, I'm not
I
saying
get
like,
forgiveness now. Now resentment puts resenting. Give me the
uh-huh.
give me your context while I look up resentment.
Yes. There are different levels of anger, is what I like to say. And resentment, I like to think of as like stored, stored up, aged, fungus growing anger. It's
Fester. What the
it's
old folks used to say, it
Yes,
festers.
it's festering inside. And I forget who, this is like a super old quote, and I forget who said it, but it's, resentment is like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. It's only harming ourselves. The other person who harmed us could be living their life freely, not even thinking about what they have done that harmed us, but we're
Mhm.
holding on to it so tightly because, as a form of obviously validation, the thing that happened actually happened, and I need to
Mhm, and
hold my truth.
mhm.
But what does that lead to is it leads us to over identifying with the trauma. I am my trauma, and my trauma is me, and that is unhealthy, unhelpful, I should say.
So, to your point, and this is funny because I got forgiveness,
Mhm.
but resentment I struggled with because and I never looked up the meaning of, literally looked in a dictionary for the word of resentment. My just growing up, hearing it, experiencing
Mhm.
life.
Right.
And so to hear this according to Oxford, and it's underlined, bitter indignation at having been treated unfairly. And so
Yeah.
it does give some validation at the end,
Yeah.
having been treated unfairly. But bitter indignation, I've gotten better. Um, if anyone that knows me, if anyone that knows me real well, that second word, indignation. mm, mhm. So I'm open to forgiveness. I'm a lot of times, and I'll just be very transparent since I'm getting so much other stuff out of this. Don't be trying to send me no thing about you need to ask for authorizations from your health insurance. In spaces where you are creative, in spaces where you are in community, in spaces where you are accessible, and a public figure, it can be very interesting and being transparent. There have been times that I've had to reflect back in my activist days when, oh boy, I used to go after some policymakers. One thing I will say is it wasn't a lot of character character uninformed construction of narratives that are just, you know. And so all of that to say that trust and the help and whatnot, because I've fluctuated roller coaster, asked for help, got some good help, and then relied on and at the end of the day, guess who's doing it? And so I'm just being, because I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So if I'm dealing with it, somebody else up on here is too.
I am.
So I just need to make space for
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, especially, and people that move in spaces to where they have a just name it, a brand, and not just pictures and flyers, but everything that has to do with your public facing and sort of behind the scenes. And so it's thank God for the Davis system. Anyway, go ahead. We're not going past 10:30, y'all. Y'all think y'all slick because they'll start in the comments asking questions. Talk about this, and can you go deeper? Go ahead.
Listen, I can come back if you want.
So there's we're getting ready to in the next couple of weeks, getting ready to launch where we'll actually be in a cafe setting in person. And I think these conversations are very different. You and I sitting across from each other in chairs and just really having a face-to-face convo. And so I welcome that.
Yeah.
And so
I'm better in person too. That's why I was nervous.
I think where the nerves went out the window. So
Yeah.
this was very good. I hope that and if you could in the private chat for me put your IG, and I know you tagged and stuff, but I also had a second cup of coffee today, so my I can feel it. If I try to type or something right now, it's going to be very interesting. But I want to make sure that folks know how to follow you and reach you. And then now, are you in a space of accepting clients? Are you doing group therapy? Like, what
Yeah.
is it that you?
So yes, I'm a CEO and founder of Soul of Counseling. You can find me on Instagram. That's the only social media I do because I feel like a dinosaur with all the other ones. So you could also follow me online and join on my website and join my newsletter. I do currently have a group happening, and it is called the Rest Support Group. And it is not through insurance because I don't want to diagnose. I don't want to do treatment plans.
You got to do,
So,
yeah.
like, we have to do it. There's so much red tape, and nobody got
So
time
is
for
that
that.
self-pay? That's self-pay.
Yes, it's self-pay, and it is on an anti-oppressive rate structure. So you have to answer a series of questions.
Wait. Why didn't you use the conditioning word? We have a sliding fee scale. That automatically implies that we slide in and we can't go and
Yes.
set up it.
But with that, you don't know why you're getting the rate that you're getting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, so can you? How do you describe it again?
there are a series of questions. It's anti-oppressive rate structure. I adopted from Kenya Crawford.
Anti-oppressive rate structure. AR rate AR.
AORS.
Oh no, you say anti AOR structure ORS.
So it's a series of questions, and based off of how many you answer yes to, that determines how much your cost is. And so there are, the lowest is $0 reparations, hello. And the highest is 45, which is redistribution to just help the business.
$45 an hour?
Hour and a half. Yeah.
$45?
Mm-hmm.
Who y'all go out here and pop bottles for
people who can afford it and believe in what I'm doing, because homegirls got bills to
no.
pay.
What I'm saying is that folks go out and like if there's something that you can benefit from this, like a $45.
Mhm.
All right, you about to make me cuss. Because there's certain things you say that have to be followed up by, you know what I mean? Just to just put that extra
Yeah.
$45. That ain't nothing, Jesus. Okay.
Trying to make it as accessible as I can. So
Yeah.
that support group is specifically for Black women, and I say women with an X, queer opening, of course, queer welcoming. But it's for Black women across the African American and Black diaspora, and
It's just for the sisters.
it's just for the sisters, and it is specifically a space to support one another. Um, and you come in with intention and you leave with energy, invigoration, motivation. And this is feedback that I've gotten from my previous groups. So I'm just
This ain't just you saying it. This is
no.
this is a review.
Yes. And so that is happening. I'm also going to be opening up an art therapy group specifically for the BIPOC community, co-ed, just anyone, male, female, anyone in between. And this will be in person. I really am excited for this opportunity that I landed on. But that will be the first Sundays of the month from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And it's just doing art therapy together actively. So if that is something you're interested in, contact me, hit me up. You can add it to my wait list. And once it is open and ready to start, you will be informed.
Do you know if there is a man that is a therapist? And also what I'm looking to do, I'm getting ready to bring some brothers together. And I'm going to sidebar you because, I'll say it to you on here, and then tomorrow somebody else is having the same event. And there's a lot of intentionality. And so I'm looking for a brother that does art, and then I'll sidebar you because that I think for some men to get together and we'll talk.
Yeah.
So
because I'm also looking. I don't know any brother art therapists, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We definitely need them. Listen, folks, hopefully today you would, well, I'm getting ready to be a bad boy. I'm looking at the time like 1 hour and 25 minutes. Hopefully today, yeah, y'all better have got something though.
I hope so.
But shoot, me too on Memorial Day on a holiday. No, this is definitely a labor of love, and this is why Mental Health Mondays is here. This is why we also reached out to Nyesha and talked about this intentionality around Mental Health Awareness Month. And so, Nielle, thank you so much for being with us today. Folks, don't forget that you can go follow her on Instagram here at Soul Love Counseling, and go to the website where you can sign up for her newsletter and stay in contact with everything that's going on in the spaces that she creates. And so thank you again for being with us today. And I'll sidebar you about that idea, as well as once we get set up in-person space to come do some pre-records and get some more content.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome. And I really look forward to connecting again in the future.
Thank you for being with us. I appreciate it. Folks, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with you in just a couple of seconds. Folks, that is our Java Cafe menu for the rest of this week. And so I'm excited to have some folks in the room. Last couple of weeks, we've been talking about equity in different spaces. And so we're talking about today about stress equity. getting it off of us, stress elimination, rather. Tomorrow morning, we have the opportunity to speak to a good friend and sister, Maria Fernandez Dominique, and also Nathan Davis Hunt about the work that they're doing at CPA Mass. They'll be with us at 9 a.m. Then on Wednesday, we'll talk about lupus in color, specifically dedicated to those that are dealing with lupus, women of color, and men deal with lupus as well. We're also going to talk about that. And so Raquel will be with us on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, folks, Java family, we have the wonderful Anthony Davis Sr. You all are definitely familiar with him. He is a member of the, we don't have a father's board. He's just the father. But Anthony Davis Sr. will be with us. And he, as many of you know, a couple of months ago had a mini stroke. If you follow him on social media, a stroke where? And so with that, he reached out and said, hey, I would really love to come and talk about Stroke Awareness Month. And I'm sure he's going to tap into some of the things that we've talked about on Mental Health Awareness Month. We had a social media exchange, and I think he put on here something about not trying to be, not verbatim, but invincible, trying to do everything and be all things to all people. And so, and I'm just going to say, well, let me finish with the lineup. And then at 7 p.m., we have 2 After Darks, 2 weeks in a row. Last Thursday, we spoke with Corrine Reynolds, the director of nightlife for the city of Boston. This Thursday evening for Lupus Awareness Month, in our second session this week, we're going to talk with Asaria Daniels, who has a master's in public health. She's a public health strategist and health equity enthusiast. Shouldn't we all be? We're going to chat with her on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Thursday, May 30th, also is a special day in the Java Cafe and for the Hills and Johnson family. My sister, my aunt, and my cousin all have, my sister, 2 of my sisters, Cammie, Wilma, have birthdays on the 30th, and my sister cousin, Conchetta Green, her birthday is on the 30th as well. And so we will send salutations that day. Listen, everyone over on Instagram, and I really appreciate the 60 folks over on Twitter. Listen, can't see all of your comments if you are commenting, but do me a favor there over on Twitter, retweet, reply, comment, and let us know how you're enjoying the show over there on Twitter and Instagram as well. Looks like they didn't knock us off after the hour. It just went to 0. So, all right, we're getting off of here. UCB. It is 10:30 on the dot. Sharon and Mother, are y'all getting 2 hours today and double time? It's listen. I'll go to 10:32 and you get your 2 hours and we don't got to bother Eric. And you get 2 hours. Sharon, Mother, can y'all put it in the comments? Lasagna, good to see you in the room. And yes, I was listening. So, all right, Ma, let me know so I can get off of here. 2 hours at 10:31 for UCB members. I'm not bothering Eric about double time for the holiday. Going once, going twice. Michelle said this was a phenomenal episode. She said conversely rich. Conversationally rich. Ma, what does that mean? Oh, so UCB members, 2 hours today. Folks, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day, everybody, and we shall talk to you soon. Thank you for being with us. See you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Peace.